Hi, this is Ralph Zuranski, and I'm on the phone with Yanik Silver. Yanik is just 31 years old. He is recognized as the leading expert on creating automatic money-making websites. He's only been online full-time since February of 2000. His friends were rolling on the floor laughing when he told them he was going to put up a website, and they had every right to be amused since Yanik had absolutely no web skill design experience, zero HTML or coding knowledge. In fact, he didn't have much knowledge about computers. But that didn't stop him from going ahead with a simple 2-page website, and the flood of orders hasn't stopped since. Yanik is a highly sought-after speaker, and attendees regularly pay close to $5,000 a person to hear his secrets. He's the author and co-author of many different books and has published several best-selling online marketing books and tools, including Public Domain Riches, Instant Sales Letters, Instant Internet Profits, Web Copy Secrets, Mind Motivators, Instant Marketing Toolbox, and Instant Stampede Success. He has a lot more products that are really great, and you can see him on his Heroes page. He also is, when he's not working on money-making project, Yanik enjoys playing beach volleyball, ice hockey, skiing, and traveling with his wife, Missy. Yanik, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Ralph.
Well, I really appreciate your taking your valuable time to answer these questions. I know I really enjoyed hearing your presentation at Bob Silver's seminar down in Florida a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was quite a fun time, and I got to actually one of the things I really loved about that was the first time I ever went deep sea fishing, and I was one of the few people on my boat who wasn't puking their guts out.
Really? So it was John and Armin and Alex throwing up?
Armin wasn't on my boat, but John Reese was, and Stephen Pierce was throwing up, and his wife.
Alicia.
It was only Richard and I, Rich Sheffrin and I, who were we were having a good go at it.
Oh boy, that was a beautiful time. Did you guys catch anything?
I caught something. Yeah, I caught God, what is that thing called? I'm not a real fisherman. It wasn't a tuna. It was some kind of mackerel. Spanish mackerel, maybe. Right. I don't know. I probably have it wrong, but it was something good, and we had it for lunch.
Oh, that's great. Well, that was beautiful down there. It was quite a unique gathering of individuals.
Yeah.
Well, let me go ahead and ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Really, I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Do you have a dream or vision that sets the course of your life?
I don't have a real solid one or something that I'd say that runs, kind of like the meta profile on everything that I do. But I have a couple things. I have my values that I look at each and every morning, and that really runs the course of my business life and my personal life. And one of the things in there that I found especially rewarding has been a statement that says, I get rich by enriching others 10 times to 100 times what they pay me in return. Kind of like the Zig Ziglar philosophy of you can get anything you want by helping enough people get what they want. And that's one of the things that has really driven a lot of my success online and offline is making sure that I'm always hopefully over-delivering in value, because one of my favorite mentors is Earl Nightingale, and he always talks about how, the marketplace cannot possibly underpay you if you're delivering great value and over-delivering. And the other thing that I have a vision for really is helping young people become more entrepreneurial. I think our society has really just taken a couple steps backwards from when everybody used to be an entrepreneur when a couple hundred years ago, maybe even as short ago as maybe 100 years ago. And now it's just more of this employee mentality that's taught in schools, and I can't stand it.
Yeah, boy, that really destroys the creativity, and seems that the school system is just designed to set kids up to be employees.
Yeah, and absolutely, and it's something that really, if I can have my way, I always have a soft spot for younger people, and I'm not that old myself, but for instance, one student of mine, he emailed me up, and typically I don't go out to lunch or do coffee with anyone because I'm normally too busy, but I had a real soft spot for this guy. Actually, it's two of them now I come to think of it. They're both college age, and they both had their own little online businesses where they were selling information products based on what I had taught them, and one of them was making about $3,000 a month from his college dorm, and I was really impressed, and he had driven up about 5 hours just to see me, so I took the time out and had coffee with him and really helped him out.
Yeah, that's amazing. It seems that that's one of the themes that run through all the heroes interviews, is that the entrepreneurs, the people that start businesses that have the courage to do so, are the real heroes to those that I'm interviewing.
I can see that.
You know, how important is it to take a positive view of setbacks, misfortunes, and mistakes? Because that seems that that's inherent in being an entrepreneur. Well,
you're always going to have setbacks, misfortunes, and mistakes. And the real interesting thing is to always think about, I do two things. One, I think about, okay, how can I turn this problem into an opportunity? Because I don't know where the quote came from, and I'm probably going to screw it up, but within every problem lies some kind of opportunity. And if I can figure out the opportunity in there, the faster I can get out the other end of where the problem is. And if you look back on your life, and actually, if in most cases, now obviously there's some things like an illness that is that's very close to death. That when you find out about that, that's not really a good thing.
Yeah.
But most setbacks or misfortunes or things that are mistakes are, if you look at them in the long run, they are pretty positive. There's an interesting story, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was a big either stockbroker or bond broker or some kind of money mover, and he had got caught doing something illegal, and he went to jail, and so he was sitting in jail. He got convicted, I think maybe a month or 2 months before 9/11, and maybe you know the story, Ralph, but so he's sitting in his jail cell. And 9/11 comes, and obviously the airplanes go smack into the Trade Center, the World Trade Center buildings, and they came in right where his offices would have been. Everybody in his office perishes and dies who's there.
Wow.
He would have been there, and with something that looked pretty horrible, was going to jail for these investment related crimes that he had committed. Pretty, all of a sudden didn't look so bad.
Yeah.
So. And there's lots of things where perhaps you're fired from a job, and that gives you the freedom to finally start your own thing. There's lots of things when you look back at it that could be a setback or misfortune, and it really is a turning point for you if you just go back and think about it. And for me in my own case, I can't really think of anything too tragic, but the only thing that comes to my mind right now is, growing up as a kid, I worked for the family business. It was my father's business, selling medical equipment. And every summer I wanted to live at the beach. And he wouldn't let me live at the beach. He made me work at the company selling. I was either telemarketing or out cold calling on doctors or designing their marketing pieces and so on, but working there. And so, to me, I thought that was a horrible, horrible misfortune to befall a young high school kid. Instead of living at the beach and having a lot of fun, I had to work. But looking back now, it gave me a tremendous head start over anybody else, because at the age of 14, I was telemarketing. At the age of 16, I was out doing sales face-to-face. So,
wow.
It gave me a big head start over almost anybody else.
That's amazing. Well, I guess it's important to be an optimist. What do you think about optimism?
That I really would consider myself an optimist, and not kind of a Pollyanna, rose-colored optimist where everything's great no matter what's happening. Almost like a pragmatic optimist in a way. So maybe you got your backup plan, but I'm always, something that I love, and I'll go back to Earl Nightingale, is he talks about cheerful expectancy. And to me, that's kind of what optimism is, because you got to have something to the foundation of your optimism. You can't just, it's like walking into a test when you're a kid and being really optimistic that you're going to do well. But guess what? If you didn't study, or you have no clue about what the test is on, or the subject, or the things that are going on there, it's pretty hard to be optimistic that you're going to get a good grade.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for you to be optimistic.
Yeah.
But if you got a reason to be optimistic, let's say, you've studied and you know your stuff, then you should definitely be optimistic. And that's the way that I think about it. Like I talked about cheerful expectancy. That's, when I first got online, there's a lot of people already in there, and it gets more crowded each and every year and more competition and so on. But when I got online, I had a very positive, cheerful expectancy that I was going to succeed because I could see some of the models that were successful, and I also saw some of the key core skills that were required, and I already had them because I'd studied. Like Earl Nightingale, I'll go back to him again. You can tell he's been a pretty big influence.
Yeah.
Where Earl Nightingale talks about if you want to become an expert, read for 1 hour a day for 3 years. If you want to become a world expert, read for 1 hour a day for 5 years. So I thought, well, what would happen if you read for 2 hours a day on a subject or 3 hours a day? And so I had the foundation. I had the direct marketing principles down. And so that gave me this cheerful expectancy that I could walk in and really do well.
So your dad making you work during the summer times gave you a huge foundation. Did you sort of look at him as an ogre at the time that he made you do that and changed your opinion of him later on?
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't too happy with that. At one point, I even remember quitting and trying to work at TCBY, the local yogurt store, and I hated it because I had the evening shift after high school where I'd have to take apart the yogurt machines and clean them, and it was ridiculous for maybe $8 an hour or $7 an hour, and I thought I'm going back. so yeah, I definitely was not thinking that it was in my best interest to be doing all the stuff that I was doing, but right now I definitely think of my father as one of my heroes, and he's got a really interesting story, and it's something that I really enjoy because I think that this applies a lot to entrepreneurs as well, is he came over, my family's from Russia, we came over from Moscow in '76, and I was 2.5 at the time, and they came over, not really knowing the language, not having any kind of advantage that people who've grown up here have. Came with $256 in his pocket for me, my mom, himself, and my mom's mother. And he went to work at a hospital here. He got a regular job, and on the side he was moonlighting, repairing doctors' medical equipment, doctors from the hospital. And pretty soon the hospital found out about it, and this was in 1978, and they said, well, you got two choices, Joseph. You can either you can keep working here and give up what you're doing to other doctors on the side, or you can quit, or you can be fired. And he said, well, okay, I'll start my own thing. And he's gone on to build this multi-million-dollar business from just this immigrant type philosophy is something that I've always been interested in, because and entrepreneurs really have the same thing. It's starting from nothing and building something. And a lot of people who have many advantages and benefits that immigrants don't have, somehow fail to take advantage of all of it. And look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, perfect example. Came here from Austria. Who would think that this guy with a very funny accent could become this mega superstar actor and also Olympian bodybuilder, and he proved everyone wrong. And, there's so many stories like that.
Well, how much courage do you think it takes to pursue new ideas?
I think it depends on the idea. It depends if it's a pretty radical new idea. I think then it takes a lot of courage, because there's a lot of naysayers. And you know what? Even if it's a mildly new idea, it still takes courage, because a lot of times your friends, your family, they're not going to get it, and it's kind of like this crab mentality. I'm from Maryland, and Maryland is I don't know if it's official. I think it is the official state slogan. Maryland is for crabs, and so if I've never been crab fishing or crabbing or whatever it's called, but I know for a fact that if you that if you have a bucket with, if you got one crab in there, he's going to escape and get out of there. But as soon as you get two crabs in there, you're safe. You don't need to have a lid on the bucket anymore, because as soon as one crab tries to make his way out, the other crab's going to reach up, grab him, and pull him back down.
Really?
And what's that?
Really?
Oh, yeah. And it's the same way with people, it seems like. If you're not with positive people who are happy and excited about where they're going in life, they wanna bring you back down to where they are. And they have something in Australia. My Australian friends told me about this saying, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but something about the tallest poppy, that they want to cut down the tallest poppy. And so, just like the crab analogy, that if there's a big poppy plant that's risen above the others, that's the one they want to cut down. And so this, the courage is you gotta be courageous enough to follow your own ideas, follow your own ambitions, follow your dreams and goals, really. And as you start moving up and having these things, become a reality, you're going to start hanging out with a whole different group of people, typically, who, for them, it's natural that if you have an idea and you want to make it into reality, it's natural for them to have that happen.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I absolutely love is I love ideas, but I love even more ideas that I implement and turn into cash, because that's the way I know that it's had a profound effect on people.
Do you feel it's an uncomfortable experience to pursue your dreams?
No, I don't think so.
So let me clarify that as far as just the amount of conflict that you have in your circles of your peer group and your family, that it is going to be uncomfortable because you're going to make a change, and that scares everybody, and so they resist change in most cases, and they basically make life uncomfortable for you because you want to do a different thing. Yeah,
well, in that case, that is true, and of course it's going to depend on your family and your friends, but in most cases it's the same thing, that they know you as one way, and if you start exhibiting different characteristics, they get uncomfortable. People want you to remain consistent, and if you decide, well, I'm not gonna do it this way, and one of my best friends, attorney, CPA, he works now for a government agency. Before, he was working in a private practice, and he still doesn't get what I do. He doesn't understand that. He just knows that I drive around in a really nice car and take vacations whenever I want. And he calls me up and kind of laughs, and he's like, "Do you ever work?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do work." But you definitely, you're going to experience some discomfort, and that's just kind of par for the course. And like I said, then you're going to start getting around other people who share these same kind of attitudes and beliefs, and there are other people that are just like you. And some of the best advice I got, I can't believe how often I'm going back to Earl Nightingale, but Earl Nightingale talks about in a couple, I don't remember which program it is, but you should get everything that he put out, either Lead the Field, Strangest Secret, and he has some other not as widely known stuff, but he talks about, if you want to be successful, just look at what the average herd does, what I don't know if he called them this, but I call them this as the mediocre majority. Mm-hmm. And if you look at what most average people are doing, just do the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. Because most people aren't successful. And it's typically only about the top 5% of people. And I'm not trying to say this in an elitist type way. It just seems that most people would rather be yakking on the phone or plopping themselves down in front of the TV instead of doing something constructive. Mm-hmm. And if you do the exact opposite, so let's say the average person comes home and watches 4 hours of TV a night. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'm going to be successful. I don't have a successful role model, even though there's tons of books and biographies and different things that you could study if you wanted to. But let's just say you don't have a personal role model in your own life. Just think about what these people are doing and do the exact opposite. So for 4 hours a night, I would, instead of watching TV, I'd actually, read something productive. Yeah. And this is not to say that I'm a big nerd and read for 4 hours every single night. For the people that know me, I'm a pretty social person, and I actually love to have a good time. Mm-hmm. But when you you can put the work in once, and that's the great thing with the internet business too, is you can put the work in once and profit from it over and over again. And so, but you got to pay the price initially.
Yeah. Well, did you believe that your dreams would eventually become reality?
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, the cheerful expectancy. I had every notion that I would be successful online when I applied what I saw working. You know, I don't know if I would have imagined what I've got right now and where it's leading up to, and you can't really. That's one of the things that really stops a lot of the students and clients that I work with, is they don't see every little step along the way where they're, you know, let's say, and what I have, my favorite analogy to this is, let's say you're walking in a really thick pea soup type fog, and you can only see 100 yards ahead of you. Well, you know, people want to, you know, let's say your end goal is a mile down the road. You're not going to be able to see it. And so that stops people from going any further because they can't see where the end goal is. But if you go those first 100 yards as far as you can see, you're going to be able to see the next 100 yards, and then you'll be able to see the next 100 yards. And that's what I've always believed in.
Well, a lot of people are paralyzed by doubts and fears. How were you able to overcome your doubts and fears?
Well, it'd be a lie if I told you that I don't have doubts and fears anymore. I think anyone who tells you that is lying. There's a great book title, and I can't remember the name of the author, but it's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I really like that because it makes a lot of sense. Hey, okay, you're going to be fearful, and you know, maybe it's something new, that maybe it's someone that you need to call for business, and you've never, you know, this person seems completely unreachable, but you know, you just you feel the fear, dial the number, and just do it anyway. You know, something that has helped, and I don't do this enough as I should, is some mental rehearsing. So kind of vividly imagining what you want the ideal outcome to be, and if you do that, you will find that does help you a bit.
Who helped give you the willpower to change things in your life for the better?
Say that one more time.
Who helped give you the willpower to change things in your life for the better?
I think it's for me. It's been listening to a lot of mentors, typically via tape or video program or written material. From trying to study the people that have been really successful and just seeing what they've done. And on a more personal level, it's been my family. You know, my dad, like I mentioned, is an entrepreneur. Came over here as an immigrant and started with nothing and built up something. And then my mother, who just passed away a couple weeks ago, actually. She, you know, she wasn't an entrepreneur, but she was incredibly encouraging. It doesn't matter what kind of silly, dumb idea I had. It didn't matter to her. As long as I wanted to do it, she was behind me all the way. And she had a long 15-year battle with cancer, and it was not anything that, you know, a lot of people are, if they have cancer, that's the end of their lives for them. But you know, that's not the way that she was. She had cancer, but the cancer didn't really have her, if that makes sense. She would, you know, live life to the fullest, and she'd be out there, you know, if in between chemo treatments, she'd be out dancing till midnight or 1 a.m. out and having a good time. So, you know, just seeing what the strength that she had, and you know, just with what she was able to overcome in a way, with what she'd been dealt with, you know, it made me realize that, you know, all the stuff that I've been trying to do is a lot easier.
Yeah, well, I can imagine so. Do you think that perseverance is really important?
I do think perseverance is important, and I think there's two parts to that. For me, anyway, I think there's a certain amount of perseverance that's good, and then at some point, it just becomes bang your head against the wall, and you'll be much better off going in some other direction. So let's say you've been trying to make a go at your business, and you keep trying a bunch of different ways, and you keep trying a bunch of different ways, and nothing's working. You know, at that point, it's time to say, okay, well, next, and let's move on. And you know, for perseverance to be a positive aspect, and from my point of view, is you got to be trying something different. You can't just be, okay, let me do this exact same thing over and over again and over and over again because I know perseverance is a good quality. Mm-hmm. And so if you keep doing the exact same thing over and over again, you're going to get the exact same result over and over again. So to me, perseverance is positive if you're trying new ways to try and get the end goal that you're shooting for. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're not getting your end goal, there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. And let's say you want to be a millionaire. That's your goal. Well, there's a whole lot of ways to become a millionaire. It could be through real estate. It could be through stocks. It could be selling your own products like I do. It could be, any number of ways. There's tons and tons of different ways. And so, like I said, if you are banging your head against the wall, there's a point where you got to say, okay, well, this isn't the right course for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, in business, there's a lot of people that you come across that upset you, offend you, and oppose you. How important is it to forgive those people?
To me, I'm never one to hold a grudge. I typically think that, not even just in business, but in your personal life, I think it takes a lot more energy to hold a grudge and to be really pissed off and mad about at somebody than it does to just let it go and forget it. Mm-hmm. And just say, I'm not going to do business with this person anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, they've proven that they're not worthy of my trust. Get over it. Yeah. But a lot of people love to hold on to the negative feelings, and to tell you the truth, it's something that, the negative feelings affect you. It's not affecting them. They don't care if you got negative feelings towards them. It's not bothering them typically, mm-hmm. but it bothers you.
Yeah, it seems that people that hold on to those feelings are hoping that they can affect you because of the way that they're feeling about you.
Yeah, and it's just I think it's pretty immature.
Yeah, I agree. Well, do you experience service to others as a source of joy?
I do. That's one of the things that keeps me going in this business. I probably have enough now that I really don't need to work too much harder. But I really enjoy, like I told you, meeting with a couple of the college kids who were my students and having them tell me about my influence for on their lives. I just had a chance, actually, the seminar I went to last weekend, I was actually attending, and I ran into one of my clients, or not clients, but one of my students, and he told me about how he had no money in his pocket. He bought one of my courses, which he couldn't really afford, and he bought this course, turned the lights on for him, created his own information product, and he, I have to give him credit because it's not just made because he went out and took action, but he made over $1.5 million in 24 hours.
Wow!
Selling his product, and it came from a starting point he was almost getting just very emotional about how much I've affected his life and helped him out. And I felt very grateful for it, but I told him, I can't take the credit for it. You've done so much by yourself, and but if I gave you a nudge in the right direction, then I feel very thankful. And there's a lot of people who I just had this big seminar a couple weeks ago called my Underground Online Seminar, and we had a real private dinner with just a couple of my friends, and it was very spontaneous, where a couple of them got up and gave me toast. I had no idea that they were going to do this, and even at the higher level, it's really rewarding to hear from people who I had no idea I'd affected them this much, and it's rewarding to hear even just an email from a customer who tells you that they didn't think that they could do this, and all of a sudden now they've quit their job and they're making $100,000 a year on the internet, or whatever the case is, and that's definitely some of the most satisfying, rewarding accolades that I can get.
How important is it to maintain a sense of humor in the face of serious problems?
I think it's pretty important. Your sense of humor, once you, I think it's important for every aspect, and as soon as you start taking yourself too seriously, then there's a pretty steep decline, and especially with like you said, with really, if you're facing a serious problem, the laughter has been proven to be a way to de-stress yourself and sometimes even cure yourself of some major illnesses. Mm-hmm. There's a famous anecdotal evidence by Norman Cousins. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what he had, but he was in
cancer.
What's that?
He had cancer.
Okay. Well, he was in his hospital room, and he sent for all the funny videos that he could possibly get, and he just watched them nonstop, and he cured himself. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think there's a very therapeutic value in laughter and trying to find something amusing about your situation.
Other than your mom and dad, who are the heroes in your life?
Well, definitely my mom and dad. The other heroes in my life have been, some of the mentors who I've learned a tremendous amount from, who have kind of shown me the way, really. And I've been talking about Earl Nightingale a bunch of times, so he's definitely up there on the list. Dan Kennedy, who's a direct marketing giant, who I'm fortunate enough now. It's really interesting how things come full circle. I remember reading all his newsletters and being, just blown away and very excited to meet him, and I would love to have the opportunity to even work with him. And now I'm running Dan Kennedy's affiliate program, and I even have a page in his monthly newsletter. Mm. So it's exciting when someone who you look up to as a hero has influenced your life so much, and when you're able to now stand on a relatively equal footing. Mm-hmm. Some of the other heroes are pretty much the unsung heroes. Like I think entrepreneurs, any entrepreneur is a hero to me. Anyone who has the gumption to start their own business and to really decide to go out there and make a go out of it, even if they fail at their business, is a hero to me. Mm-hmm. Because they're providing something of value back to society, or else they're going to be out of business pretty soon. Mm-hmm. They're providing jobs. They're providing, our whole economy is a lot of it is based on small entrepreneurs. So to me, those people are really deserving of the title of hero.
Well, as an entrepreneur, most people right out of the gate aren't successful. A lot of people fail. You've heard the statistics of small businesses on how fast they fail. How important do you think it is to be willing to fail at what you do to learn how to be successful?
I think that you should be willing to fail, and you shouldn't expect to fail. Like we talked about cheerful expectancy and having a reason for this cheerful expectancy. So doing your homework before you go into any venture. It's not enough to just say, I want to open a restaurant. But if you want to open up a restaurant, like let's say I wanted to do that, I had no clue about the restaurant business. I've never worked in the restaurant business. I might have talked to someone who owns a restaurant maybe once in my life. I've eaten at a bunch of restaurants. That doesn't mean that I have the skills necessary to run a successful restaurant business. Now, if you go out and you'd interview 10 top restaurateurs from all over the country and sat them down for a day and took copious notes and did a bunch of research, and then you go out and fail, then that's different than just saying, okay, I want to start a restaurant and going out and failing. Though there is something to be said for failing forward as much as possible. And I like the way I'm a direct response marketer, and I like the way that direct response marketers look at things. We look at things as tests. So we can go out in the marketplace and we can go out with a new promotion and it could bomb. But you know what? That's not a failure. It's just an unsuccessful test. And if you can, it's all about the way that you frame things is the way that to me makes a lot of sense. So there is no good or bad value until we attach it to something, to an event, to a situation. So if you say, okay, well, this restaurant went under, you can say, yes, I'm a failure, and attribute that to it and frame it that way. Or you can reframe it as something else, as here's all the things that I've learned from it, and it's going to make my next entrepreneurial venture even stronger.
So you think it's important for people to learn from the mistakes that they make?
Absolutely, and you've got to be able to learn from the mistakes that you make, but even more so, I think, and this is something that I've tried to do, is as I've tried to avoid making the mistakes as much as possible by learning from people that have done it ahead of me. I mean, there are so many books out there that you can learn tremendous amounts of information from people who spent 20, 30, 40 years in their particular business or venture or whatever, and they have all this information out there for you in a $10 book or a $20 book, or in some cases it's a more expensive home study program. Whatever the case is, it's all worth it because it shortens your learning curve, and you can find out how to avoid those mistakes without actually doing it yourself. So that's a smarter way of doing it to me.
Yeah. Yanik, how does it feel to be recognized as an internet hero?
I'm for the people that know me, I'm a pretty modest, humble guy, and it's definitely, like I said, the accolades and the emails and the notes and coming up and meeting people in person who talk about me helping to change their lives is something that's very, very rewarding to me, and the same as this being recognized as an internet hero is.
So by your ability to help others and the success that you've had in making them successful, do you think that that's why you were accorded this honor?
I would have to imagine so, and hopefully that's the case. It always, when I sit back and think about some of the people that I've helped kind of turn the lights on for, and then they've gone out and taught other people or had tremendous influence in their community or been able to support their family in new ways. It's something that really almost boggles my mind when you think about the kind of influence you can have, and by just helping to get people to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm. So that's basically the primary way that you're making the world a better place, helping people become successful?
Yeah, that right now that is my primary way. In the future, I'd like to do some other things. One of the things I don't typically publicly talk about is I actually there's certain charities that we donate 5% of every dollar that comes into us in the business to. And I've done other things like where I had I think you were there, Ralph. I had my big 30th birthday bash, mm-hmm. and I invited all my customers in for a free seminar, which typically would have cost about $2,000 or $3,000, and all I asked for was a $50 donation to Make-A-Wish, mm-hmm. and we raised $25,000 for Make-A-Wish Foundation. Mm-hmm. So things like that are some of the ways that I'm trying to make my little contribution on the world if possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really appreciate your time, Yanik. And is there any parting piece of wisdom you want to pass on to young people?
The only thing that I'll leave you with is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you start, but just start. Your whatever venture you're trying to get into, even if you do it badly, it's worth doing badly at first. It's better. There's never going to be a perfect time for anything. And I thought when I was starting my business, I'd wait till this certain time, or I'd wait till this happened, or whatever happened. And the truth is, there's never ever a perfect time. So just get out there. In the words of Nike, just do it.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the advice of most of the heroes that I've talked to, is just do anything. It doesn't have to be perfect, nor will it ever be perfect.
Nor will it ever be. I still don't think my business is perfect, and it can still, there's a lot of things I can do to make it better, but you know what, it's a lot better than when I started, and it's probably going to be better next year and the year afterwards, as long as you're always on this upwards trajectory where you're kind of improving along the way.
Yeah, well, I'm amazed at what you've accomplished at such a young age, and that's the reason for the Heroes program, is to get kids to realize there's people out there like you that have incredible information that can help them be incredibly successful before they're 21.
Yeah, that would be terrific. I'd love to create some new millionaires before they're even able to legally drink in the United States. Before 21 would be really cool.
Well, I've got the best of the best as far as the heroes and the information that we put up in the In Search of Heroes weblog. So I just really thank you for your contribution and just really appreciate what you're doing for the world.
My pleasure. Thanks, Ralph.